So this is my background. It's green. It has green wool laid down, and it's wet right now. And I created some pre-felts for this design. I have a tree I want to make. I have a sheep I want to make. And so for the tree, I created this pre-felt. It was sort of a tan commercial pre-felt. And I needle felted some loose brown wool. And then I'm going to cut out my tree shapes and branches out of this. And then I'll put them down. And then I took some green, put down a few different colors of green fibers, and then some viscose so it'll be shiny. And I'm going to cut the leaves for the tree from this. And this will be the sheep, and it has white wool, and it has a gauze material, and it's adhering to the white wool. So I have cut out my shapes. For instance, this is going to be part of the tree trunk, and here's the sheep's face. But here's my background, and it's a solid green. So I'm going to add some colors as the background. And I'm going to have a hillside. So this is a darker green than this green. Like I said, this green is wet, so it looks darker than it is. And I'll just lay down, the shape of a hill, and in wispy layers. And the green beneath it will blend with this green, and so it'll look more realistic. And I'll do that for a minute, and then I will take some blue and lay down wisp of that also in the background for the horizon. And it's not going to be a solid blue, it's just going to have sort of the idea of the horizon. And if I lay down thin wisps, then the green below it will migrate up with the blue and kind of just be a blend. So I laid down my wispy background, and now I always like to remember to wet it out. So we use the ball browser to just squirt on top, and then we put the bubble wrap straight down and just press evenly. Don't rub back and forth because we want to be able to lift it up carefully. And we just press those loose fibers down. That way, when we're ready to lay any other pieces down, we'll set them down, but we can lift them up to rearrange them, and it doesn't pull the wool. So we will want to be able to move our pieces around as we're creating our picture. So we're ready to put our design. I have cut out the shapes, and I think I'll put the sheep down just to hold a place, and I'll put the tree down. And we keep in mind that this is 13 by 13 inches, and we're going to shrink it to 9 by 9. And so the edges will also become narrower. So we won't start like this at the very edge. We'll kind of think of this as it'll possibly be framed. So put everything kind of in the center, or leave an edge. And so we just lay them down, and if you're not happy with it, you can move it. And I have this dark brown, and I made some tree branches, and then I'm just going to have the idea of leaves. So I didn't cut out leaf shapes, just cut out some triangles, and I'll place them around. So the idea is that this is wool on top of wool, and they will come together. And this the sheep fabric has some fabric on top. So if you put fabric next to the fabric, they don't come together. But as long as you have wool touching the fabric, and the wool underneath is touching the wool, they all come together. So this is my final layout. And one thing that's nice about using pre-felts is that you can get a kind of a 3D effect. This pre-felt was pretty thick with some coarse wool on it. And for class, I will have created all these pre-felts for you so you can choose from them. And hopefully they fit the design that you want to do. But this will felt down and shrink, but it will still have some texture to it. And this sheep with this fabric on top will also have a really cool texture, I think, because it'll shrink together and be kind of curly on top. And so I took that pre-felt that was like this and did some cutting and made some tufts of grass. And those are my ideas of leaves. And in the end, I took even more, a different pre-felt. It's just white, and clipped it to be like the pollen falling from the tree. And then we are ready to felt it, which means getting all the pieces to stick together. So we wet it out, and we're going to do surface rubbing for up to 10 minutes. We make sure everything is very wet. And so this is what's a little bit different than using just fibers. When we laid out the fibers, like in wool painting, we don't have to do so much surface rubbing. But to get the pre-felts to adhere to the felt underneath, we get that soapy water soaked into everything, and we press down. At first we just press straight down, and then we do lift up the bubble wrap, and we check again to see if everything is in place, and if we want to move something, now is the time. And then we return the bubble wrap, and we put the soapy water on top, and then we rub back and forth, but we just let our hand glide. And then for up to, well, even 10-15 minutes, and we start to apply more pressure depending on what's underneath. I can see that sheep underneath, so I can push down on that. But when it comes to just the fibers in the background, I just have to go back and forth with the whole hand. It's good. And not applying too much pressure at once. And after a couple of minutes, we can apply more pressure. But we rub back and forth like this, and that starts the fibers to migrate into each other. So the background wool is migrating up to these little pieces that we put on top, and it will become one solid piece of felt.